Hey, how's it going, everybody? We are here for the last and final recap of the season. EU Qualifier 6 has come to an end, and with that, we have all of our teams going to the major. Europe just seems to always find a way to one-up themselves. So, as you guys know, in our kind of quick recap yesterday, or last week, I think I should say, the last time we did it, a lot of these top teams dropped down to the lower bracket. So you saw teams like 100%, Novo, so on and so forth, take the high seeds, which created some chaos, I think, overall in kind of the chances of what we may be dealing with. The top 16 was then reseeded once they got into Swiss, and some shakeups definitely occurred. Now, the conversation was from week in and week out, who are we going to see consistently perform at the top? And EU has kind of had this crazy narrative of it takes turns. Is BDS going to recreate their magic from last time after they looked to struggle? You know, we saw a lot of people concerned in their first qualifier, like, is BDS the real deal after we saw an ascendancy and kind of a bit of a drop off? They're very similar, in my opinion, to like Gen G in that conversation, where Gen G came in, they dominated the first regional, and then we saw a drop off. BDS was kind of that similar regard, where we saw a slow ascendancy, but not quite able to win. We'll see if they can redo it. Outside of that Vitality, there was that conversation on First Touch of, have they fallen off? Have they dropped off? And I'm like, they didn't go anywhere, man. They're still looking really, really good. And then they went and kind of dominated. So again, the other conversation and the fight between K-Corp and Oxygen persists. K-Corp needing to shut down Oxygen to make sure that their chances of getting to the World Championship are there, because they cannot make the major. As for Oxygen, they need K-Corp to lose as quickly as possible so they can start to gain points. But realistically, coming into this regional, we knew BDS, Vitality, K-Corp, Oxygen, Gentlemates, so on and so forth, we're going to be in the conversation for the World Championship, while Oxygen, BDS, Vitality, and Gentlemates were going to be the teams going to London. So those things ended up happening. We saw the competition go out, and I would say things went as expected, in my opinion. In your early rounds and stuff, not a single of the low seeds won a series. A little bit spooky here for Vitality versus Low Block. This is the first match that I watched when I got off the plane, as I was in Philadelphia this past weekend for a wedding, and they had a reverse sweep. So Vitality comes out of the gate and they give us a heart attack. They're like, hey, reverse sweep, we're a little scared. And then they still managed to go 3-0. They beat Oxygen, who is on a tear, and Mates. So, like, I don't know what happened in that reverse sweep, but they woke up and they looked really, really good after that. Outside of that, kind of some of the narrative, same with Luna Galaxy. Luna Galaxy taking down Endpoint, K-Corp. They beat BDS, or their only loss was to BDS in 5. And then I think they had a little bit of an easier run against 100%. So Luna Galaxy giving themselves quite a bit of an advantage coming through in that 3-1 round. So much, in fact, that they do get the higher seed over all the 3-1 teams in K-Corp and Oxygen. Something that you're already noticing too, if you're familiar with how quarterfinals work, the 4 and the 5 seeds play each other. So when we talk about those playoff scenarios, Oxygen and K-Corp are literally playing each other. So if Oxygen wins, really good chance to separate themselves and play catch up, and K-Corp a chance to shut it down and basically guarantee their spot for Worlds, which is dope. So some really good head-to-heads we'll talk about in a bit here. Mates have been struggling a little bit, but ironically enough, and I want you guys to keep this in mind, this is no different than what we saw in Major 2 or in Major 1. When we talked about Major 1 qualifiers, Gentlemates was always that team that was kind of in the 2-2 round, will they, won't they type moment, right? They were really balancing out on, are they really a strong 4th seed or not? We don't know what we're getting out of Mates, and then they go to LAN and they won the whole thing in very close matches with a really good challenge game, so on and so forth. So again, a lot of people are seeing Gentlemates not perform at the highest of levels, even though after the major they did win Qualifier 4. Keep in mind that some people are playing a playstyle that does work better online, while teams like, I think, in my opinion, Mates, Oxygen are only going to get better at LAN. So keep wary of that. I think credit to Jobless as well, making top 8 again, as they have seen some ups and downs. Them getting swept by Nova was actually very surprising to me. But to bounce back in a tough game against SA and 100%, I think their wins again for Jobless over Team 3 SA and 100% probably had the easiest run that they could have ever asked for. Same thing for Endpoint. They go against Solary, Low Block, and Novo. So those 3-2 rounds, I think, for Jobless and so on are a little bit kind of tough. And then for Resolve, right? Resolve is able to take down and have to fight against Mates 100% BDS. Like, again, if you're Resolve, you've got to win that match against 100%. There is no excuse for those if you're a considerate top 8 team. I also find it very weird, and a lot of people talked about this too for Suh. Suh is 1-3. You go in and you show in the open qualifier system that you're able to tape down the top dogs, but then you guys get in here and you fall apart. I don't know if it's a confidence or a pressure thing. I will say early in Swiss, pressure of trying to make top 8 major stuff, not as telling as it was for NA, because NA 2 weeks ago looked pretty rough in those first rounds because of all the pressure that was on the line. EU took care of business, I think I would like to say. EU, for the most part, if I would say, hey, who are your top 8 teams in EU right now, I think you could swap Endpoint with some of the other conversations like Resolve or Suh or, you know, whoever's feeling it on that weekend. Team 3 was the biggest surprise, though. Team 3 was a team that has, for the most part, been pretty consistent. They didn't win a single game. They went 0-9. They got stomped. So that was pretty wild to not get a single win. Team 3 looked horrendous. Yeah, perfect. River says it perfectly. They looked absolutely abysmal, which is crazy. We then get our top 8, which I think was a lot of fun. When you look at top 8 and the results that came from it, I think this really summarizes EU in a nutshell. Every time I'm like, all right, semblance of normalcy, things make sense. We've got the same teams that are supposed to be here, and then we get the bracket that we do. So, in this circumstance, the big one that I told you guys about, between K Corp and Oxygen. The better Oxygen performs, the less they have to perform. Like, if Oxygen would have won the whole event, they needed to make top 8 at the major. They would have gotten to Worlds off of that. I'll break those down more here in a bit. But because K Corp won, they create more separation between themselves. And I can tell you the current tiebreaker scenario for the World Championship, Oxygen has to play top 2 in London. So if you were trying to see how Oxygen makes the World Championship as well, they have to make top 2. They have to go to the grand final in London. It's going to be tough. BDS, I think this many consider is one of the most entertaining series. I will be doing watch parties with these during the week. I did not get to watch as many of these as I wanted to live. So we will be watching them on stream with our chat. Come hang out with us, twitch.tv/Lawler. We're going to be doing some of these, some replay analysis, some more in-depth reviews of what actually went down. But yeah, apparently BDS put 99 shots on goal, but was 1 away from hitting 100 in that series. I'm pretty sure that's what people are saying. Saying a must watch for a lot. So we'll go back and watch that. The K Corp and Oxygen series, I think K Corp really starting to find a little bit more semblance of offense. Obviously, they've had a very shaky split, and showcasing that at any given time, these EU teams have potential, but some good OTs and stuff. Oxygen, I expect more out of them in this circumstance, especially when you have a chance to control your own fate. That was a very big series. We'll see if it comes back to bite them. I'm thinking it might. We'll talk about predictions for majors here soon. Jobless over Vitality, though, was pretty crazy as well. I can't wait to go back and watch this one and see what actually went down in the more in-depth and specifics. But for Vitality to be losing to Jobless, I don't know if it was just pressure or, hey, Jobless has nothing left to lose and they're just playing upset. But that's a big win. That's a very big win for Jobless. It also helps them as their last performance of the year get a little bit more attention and hopefully increase their merits and their own stocks going into the offseason, as, again, they are now truly jobless for the next 6 months. Truly jobless for the next 6 months, which is a scary reality for a lot of these players. Again, only 2 OTs in this series, which I was surprised by, but a lot of 1-goal games and really close competition. Looked like a really good series from the times I got to tune in. And then Luna Galaxy versus Mates. This one surprised the heck out of me. Based upon the things that I've heard internally with Luna Galaxy, is a Chronic coming in as kind of that last edition has not really put in the time and effort that he could have. And as he has gotten more and more reps and more time and really committed to the team has looked better and better. While I do think once you get past Mates, you have probably the easiest run to the grand finals possible. That still doesn't say the same thing that we said about LG when LG made it over OG to make top 2. You won the matches that are ahead of you. You set yourself up for the best opportunity. Power to you. You've got to win the matches in front of you. That's all that matters, and they did exactly that. So, Luna Galaxy versus Jobless. I am interested to see on how this one played out, if it was a little bit more one-sided or otherwise, but Luna Galaxy has shown that when they are clicking, their offense is really good. Tox still has a lot left in the tank, and Atomic, again, proper structure and guidance, that player still has so much left to give. So, good to see this out of Luna Galaxy, if anything. I think Jobless, again, when you compare the two teams, I think they are equal footing based upon the talent. and it comes down to who's playing better on the day. This case, it was Luna Galaxy. BDS versus K-Corp. BDS did not look like they were going to lose anytime soon. If you guys watched this series, this was BDS's series and day to lose. I think Championship Sunday, BDS, as soon as they came out of the gate, were like, we are not going to lose this weekend. Very polished. And we talk about the narratives of World Championships. 21-22 was BDS. They pick up a new player, and then, you know, they basically steal Seiko from Endpoint, and they go on, have a good spring split, and win the World Championship. Vitality. Zen used his motivation. Top 6 in the winter. They go to spring. They win everything. They win the World Championship. There is a trend about teams getting hot when it matters most. Okay? Teams that do not perform towards the tail end of the season tend to fall apart. Now, I will say, in contrast, to play devil's advocate, we have London coming up in a couple weeks, and then a 3-month break between that, EWC, and then the World Championship. The teams that are grinding, that are not taking time off, that are not getting complacent and stuff like that, that are really taking this seriously. You're talking 3 months, essentially, like 1 week less than 3 months between the Major 2 in London and the World Championship in Texas. Do not get complacent, bust your ass, work hard, set yourself up for success. There's no excuse not to have time to prepare for that first round matchup and make a difference. What people have been asking for. So, what does that mean in the grand scheme of things as we have a Game 7 match that is very, very close? Galaxy had 2 matches to close it out as well. They were up 3-2 at one point and on double match point and still lost. But that last game, 1-goal game, man. That's Rocket League, isn't it? Comes down to 1. So, for the major, we have all of our teams, our top 16. We have our first round matchups as well. We will be breaking these down in a future video and kind of going over all those perspectives and how I feel. Maybe we'll do individual match highlights on who I think wins, pros and cons of each. We've done this in the past where we interview coaches and pros and stuff and gotten their opinions on these. Maybe we'll do that again. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that. But some really exciting matches already. Falcons SSG round 1 is incredible. Furia Oxygen is amazing as well. You've got a team that absorbs pressure, good defense against a team that's all offense. Mates, who has been up and down going up against Twisted Mind. Like, there is some really high profile matches in the first round. Very excited. Also, Genji, who's been struggling against Team Secret, who I think is an underdog. Could be really, really fun to watch. So I am very excited to watch a lot of these first round matches. The big thing we're paying attention to, obviously performance-wise, if you look at the World Championship, we have most of our teams locked in, right? OCE, South America, MENA, and SSA are still kind of waiting to see how things go. Many of us believe that Mobula is going to go 0-3 like they deserve, jokes aside. But if Mobula goes 0-3, then you're still going to see Limitless make it back. They have quite a big buffer in between their results in the first split as well. But yeah, there's some results that are practically locked, but something's still open for discussion. Very likely that this is locked in as well for Twisted. Twisted has like a 3-point difference or something between the two teams. So as long as they get a win, they should go past anything and be okay. SSA is up for the air, but you basically need some really, really rough performances from the teams going to the major in order for the other teams to jump ahead or keep their spots. So we will see how things go. There is some conversation between Chiefs and everything else as well. So again, World Championship, the big spot that's left open. This is kind of the big talking piece, as I've discussed. In Major 2, between Oxygen, okay? Between Oxygen and K-Corp. If Oxygen gets to the grand finals at Major 2 in London, they will take the spot from K-Corp and go to the World Championship. That's the big conversation. So, if you guys do have any additional questions, we're going to be putting out a bunch of content in regards to the World Championship and the Major and stuff over the next few months. Head-to-head matchups and everything else to get you all prepared. There's also that off-season tournament between all the like major teams before London as well to look forward to. There's some cool stuff that's coming. I'm also working on my own tournament during this off-season that we hopefully get approval for and do something that has never been done before, which I think would be really cool. But yeah, a lot of stuff we're trying to do during the off-season as we get ramped up. So if you guys want to make sure you don't miss out on it, like, subscribe, notifications, please click the buttons. Please leave me any comments down below. And if you have any additional questions, we'll be answering those every Monday as well in a YouTube video. But with that said, that does it for today's video. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.